Are you ready to crush the CISA exam and level up IT audit game? You are in the right place. In this video, I have put together 30 high quality CISA practice questions to help you get exam ready with confidence. But we are not just stopping at the answers, we are breaking down key concepts with clear explanation to lock in your understanding. Whether you are just starting out or brushing up for test day, this video will give you the edge you need to succeed. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join our community of future certified professionals. Let's get started. Question number 31. Which of the following tests is an IS auditor performing when a sample of programs is selected to determine if the source and object versions are the same? And the options are option A substantive test of program library controls, option B a compliance test of program library controls, option C a compliance test of the program compiler controls, and option D, a substantive test of the program compiler controls. And the correct option is option B, a compliance test of program library controls. So this test checks whether established procedures are being followed, specifically whether the source code and object code that is compiled version in the program library match. This ensures that unauthorized or unapproved changes have not been made and that the deployed code is the correct version. Because the IS auditor is testing adherence to the controls or procedures, it is a compliance test. Since it focuses on the program library where programs are stored and managed, it's a compliance test of program library controls. Why not the others? So substantive test focuses on the accuracy and integrity of data or processing, not on the control compliance, while compiler controls refer to settings or restrictions during the compilation process, not storage or version control of code. Question number 32. An IS auditor reviewing the key roles and responsibilities of the database administrator, that is DBA, is least likely to expect the job description of the DBA to include option A, defining the conceptual schema, option B, defining security and integrity checks, option C, liaising with users in developing data model, and option D, mapping data model with the internal schema. And the correct option is option A, defining the conceptual schema. So conceptual schema is a high level data model that defines business entities, relationships, and rules. This is typically the responsibility of the data architect who designs the overall structure, business analysts who gather requirements, or system analysts who translate business needs into technical models. A DBA's primary role is operational and technical, focusing on internal schema, that is physical database design, indexing, and storage, security and integrity, that is access controls, backups, and constraints, performance tuning, maintenance, and troubleshooting, and liaising with users to optimize queries and data models. Question number 33. A sequence of bits appended to a digital document that is used to secure an email sent through the internet is called a option A, digest signature, option B, electronic signature, option C, digital signature, and option D, hash signature. And the correct option is option C, digital signature. So a digital signature is a sequence of bits appended to a digital document that confirms the authenticity of the sender, ensures the integrity of the message, and provides non-repudiation, that is, the sender cannot deny sending the message. It works by using a private key to sign a message and a public key to verify it, typically involving the hash of the message. Why not the other option? Digest signature is not a standard term, likely confusion with message digest, which is a hash but not a signature. Electronic signature is a broad term that could include a typed name or scanned image. It lacks cryptographic security. And hash signature is not a formal term. Hashing is part of the digital signature process, but not the signature itself. Question number 34. The use of a Gantt chart can, option A, aid in scheduling project tasks. Option B, determine project checkpoints. Option C, ensure documentation standards. And option D, direct the post-implementation review. And the correct option is option A, aid in scheduling project tasks. So a Gantt chart is a project management tool that provides a visual timeline for tasks in a project. It helps to schedule tasks, track progress, identify task dependencies, and allocate resources over time. Why not the others? Determine project checkpoints, better done through a milestone plan, not typically a Gantt chart. Ensure documentation standards. This is handled by quality assurance or PMO policies, not by a Gantt chart. Direct the post implementation review. This is part of project closure activities, not the function of a Gantt chart. Question number 35. Which of the following translates email from formats from one network to another so that the message can travel through all the networks? Option A, gateway. Option B, protocol converter. Option C, front-end communication processor. And option D, concentrator or multiplexer. And the correct option is option A, gateway. So a gateway is a network device that translates communication protocols, data formats, or email formats from one system or network to another. It operates at multiple layers of the OSI model, often up to layer 7, that is application layer, and enables communication between different email systems, networks, or applications. In the context of email, a gateway converts email formats like X.400 to SMTP, so messages can pass between incompatible systems. Why not the others? Protocol converter translates between different protocols, usually lower OSI layers, but not specifically for email formats. Front-end communication processor offloads tasks like routing or encryption from main system, but does not handle format translation. And concentration slash multiplexer combines multiple signals or data streams not involved in format translation. So gateways are essential for ensuring email interoperability across different network environments and systems. Question number 36. Which of the following best describes the necessary documentation for an enterprise product re-engineering, that is EPR software installation? Option A, specific developments only. Option B, business requirements only. Option C, all phases of the installation must be documented. And option D, no need to develop a customer specific documentation. And the correct option is option C, all phases of the installation must be documented. So an enterprise product re-engineering, that is EPR or enterprise resource planning ERP software installation, is a complex process that typically affects many parts of the organization. To ensure effective implementation, troubleshooting, maintenance, compliance, and user adoption, it is essential to document business requirements, system configurations and customization, installation procedures, testing and validation, user training, and support and maintenance procedures. Comprehensive documentation helps in knowledge transfer, audit readiness, and future upgrades or changes. Question number 37. A hub is a device that connects option A, two lanes using different protocols. Option B, a lane with a WAN. Option C, a lane with a metropolitan area network, that is MAN. And option D, two segments of a single lane. And the correct option is option D, two segments of a single lane. So a hub is a basic network device used to connect multiple devices within a single local area network, that is LAN. It operates at OSI layer 1, that is physical layer, and simply broadcasts data it receives to all connected ports. Hubs are often used to connect two or more segments of a LAN, extended its reach. They do not understand protocol nor do they route traffic between different networks. Why not the others? Two lanes using different protocol. This requires a gateway, not a hub. A lane with a WAN, this is the job of a router. A lane with a MAN again requires more advanced network routing or switching equipment, not a hub. Question number 38. A LAN administrator normally would be restricted from option A, having end user responsibilities. Option B, reporting to the end user manager. Option C, having programming responsibilities. And option D, being responsible for LAN security administration. And the correct option is option C, having programming responsibilities. So a LAN administrator typically manages the network infrastructure configuration and managing LAN hardware, ensuring connectivity and handling security for the network. They are usually not involved in application programming, as that is a separate function. Having programming responsibilities could lead to segregation of duties, conflicts, and reduces focus on network management. It's generally acceptable for LAN administrators to have some end user responsibilities or report to user managers depending on the organization. LAN security administration is typically part of their role. Why not the others? Having end user responsibilities may happen in small organizations but not ideal. Reporting to the end user manager possible depending on organization structure. Being responsible for LAN security administration, this is a core part of their role. Question number 39. Which of the following is a telecommunication device that translates data from digital form to analog form and back to digital? Option A, multiplexer. Option B, modem. Option C, protocol converter. And option D, concentrator. And the correct option is option B, modem. So a modem, that is modulator, and demodulator is a telecommunication device that converts digital data from a computer into analog signals for transmission over telephone lines and then converts incoming analog signals back into digital data. This process is essential for communication over traditional phone networks, which are analog. Why not others? So, multiplexer combines multiple signals for transmission over a single medium but does not convert digital to analog. Protocol converter converts between communication protocols, not signal types. Concentrator aggregates multiple communication lines but does not convert signal types. Modem enable digital devices to communicate over analog telephone systems. Question number 40. Which of the following system-based approaches would a financial processing company employ to monitor spending patterns to identify abnormal patterns and report them? Option A, a neural network. Option B, database management software. Option C, management information systems. And option D, computer assisted audit techniques. And the correct option is option A, a neural network. So a neural network are a type of artificial intelligence modeled after the human's brain's network of neurons. They are particularly good at recognizing complex patterns and anomalies in large datasets, such as spending patterns in financial transactions. A financial company would use a neural network to learn normal spending behavior and flag abnormal or fraudulent transactions effectively. Why not the other database management software used to store and manage data but does not inherently analyze or detect patterns? Management information systems provide reporting and summaries but are not specialized in anomaly detection. And computer assisted audit techniques, tools to assist auditors but typically don't provide automated pattern recognition like neural networks. Question number 41, a hardware control that helps to detect errors when data are communicated from one computer to another is known as a option A, duplicate check, option B, table lookup, option C, validity check, and option D, parity check. And the correct option is option D, parity check. So a parity check is a hardware level control used in data communication and memory systems to detect errors. It works by adding an extra bit called a parity bit to the data. This bit ensures that the numbers of ones in the data, including the parity bit, is either even, that is even parity, or odd, that is odd parity, depending on the system. If the data is altered during transmission, the parity will not match and the system can detect an error occurred. Duplicate check detects repeated data entries. Table lookup verifies data against predefined values. Validity check ensures data falls within acceptable parameters. And parity checks detects communication errors in transmitted data. Question number 42, which of the following is a continuity plane test that uses actual resources to simulate a system crash to cost effectively obtain evidence about the plane's effectiveness? And the options are option A, paper test, option B, post test, option C, preparedness test, and option D, walkthrough. And the correct option is option C, preparedness test. So a preparedness test, also known as a simulation test, involves using actual resources, that is system, personnel, and facilities to simulate a real disaster or system crash. This type of test helps organizations cost effectively gather evidence about the effectiveness and readiness of their business continuity plan without a full disruption. Here is a breakdown of the other options. Paper test, a theoretical review of the plan, no actual resources are used. Post test refers to the review done after a test has been conducted. And walkthrough, team members review the plan step by step without using real systems or simulating failures. Question number 43, an organization having a number of offices across a wide geographical area has developed a disaster recovery plan DRP. Using actual resources, which of the following is the most cost effective test of the DRP? Option A, full operational test, option B, preparedness test, option C, paper test, and option D, regression test. And the correct option is option B, preparedness test. So a preparedness test is a cost-effective method to test a disaster recovery plan, that is DRP, using actual resources but without fully disrupting business operations. It simulates a disaster scenario to assess response actions, communication, and recovery procedures. It provides a realistic understanding of the DRP's effectiveness while keeping cost and risk lower than a full operational test. Here is how the other options compare. Full operational test. This is the most comprehensive test involving complete system shutdown and recovery. While thorough, it's expensive and risky, so not the most cost effective. Paper test involves reviewing the DRP on paper, low cost but not realistic and does not use actual resources. Regression test is typically used in software development, not disaster recovery. It tests whether recent changes have affected existing functionality. Question number 44. The IS auditor learns that when equipment was brought into the data center by a vendor, the emergency power shutoff switch was accidentally pressed and the UPS was engaged. Which of the following audit recommendations should the IS auditor suggest? And the options are option A, relocate the shutoff switch. Option B, install proactive covers. Option C, escort visitors. And option D, log environmental failures. And the correct option is option B, install protective covers. So the issue occurred because the emergency power shutoff switch was accidentally pressed. The most direct and practical recommendation to prevent accidental activation is to install protective covers over the switch. These covers prevent unintended use while still allowing access in true emergencies. Here is why the other options are less suitable. Relocate the shutoff switch may be expensive, impractical, or against fire safety regulations. Escort visitors were generally good practice. It would not physically prevent accidental pressing of the switch. Log environmental failures important for tracking, but it does not prevent reoccurrence of the issue. Question number 45. Company.com has contracted with an external consulting firm to implement a commercial financial system to replace its existing in-house developed system. In reviewing the proposed development approach, which of the following would be of the greatest concern? Option A, acceptance testing is to be managed by users. Option B, a quality plan is not part of the contracted deliverables. Option C, not all business functions will be available on initial implementation. And option D, prototyping is being used to confirm that the system meets business requirements. And the correct option is option B, a quality plan is not part of the contracted deliverables. So a quality plan outlines the processes, standards, responsibilities, and quality assurance practices that ensure the final product meets the organization's requirements and expectations. If a quality plan is missing, it raises a major concern about how defects will be prevented or detected, whether deliverables meet performance and compliance standards, how risk to system integrity and business continuity will be managed. Question number 46. In a public key infrastructure that is PKI, the authority responsible for the identification and authentication of an applicant for a digital certificate that is certificate subject is the option A, registration authority, option B, issuing certification authority, option C, subject CA, and option D, policy management authority. And the correct option is option A, registration authority. So in a public key infrastructure that is PKI, the registration authority is responsible for identification and authentication of individuals or entity that is certificate objects before a digital certificate is issued. Once verified, the RA passes this information to the certification authority, that is CA, which then issues the digital certificate. Other options, that is issuing certification authority. CA issues and manages the certificates but does not directly authenticate the applicant. Subject CA, this is not a standard PKI term. Policy Management Authority defines and manages the certificate policies but is not involved in the identity verification process. Question number 47. Which of the following is a data validation, edit, and control? And the options are option A, hash totals, option B, reasonableness checks, option C, online access controls, and option D, before and after image reporting. And the correct option is option B, reasonableness checks. So, reasonableness checks are a type of data validation, edit, and control that ensures input data falls within expected ranges or logical limits. For example, entering an employee age of 200 would fail a reasonableness check. Let's briefly review the other option, hash total, a control total used to verify data integrity, not a data validation check. Online access controls, these manage user access and permissions, not data validation. Before and after image reporting tracks changes to data for audit and recovery purposes, not input validation. Question number 48. A control that detects transmission errors by appending calculated bits onto the end of each segment of data is known as option A, reasonable check, option B, parity check, option C, redundancy check, and option D, check digits. And the correct option is option C, redundancy check. So, a redundancy check is a control method that detects transmission errors by appending calculated bits, that is, redundant bits, to the end of each data segment. These bits are derived from the data itself using algorithms like cyclic redundancy check, CRC, or checksum. When the data is received, the system recalculates the bits and compares them to the appended values to detect errors during transmission. Other option, reasonableness check, validates whether data values make logical sense. That is, a salary is not negative, not for transmission errors. Parity check detects single bit errors by adding a parity bit but is less robust than redundancy checks. Check digits typically used in fields like account numbers to detect data entry errors, not transmission errors. Question number 49. What is the primary objective of control self-assessment, that is CSA program? Option A, enhancement of the audit responsibility. Option B, elimination of the audit responsibility. Option C, replacement of the audit responsibility. And option D, integrity of the audit responsibility. And the correct option is option A, enhancement of the audit responsibility. So, a controlled self-assessment CSA program is designed to involve management and staff in the assessment of internal controls. Its primary objective is to enhance the effectiveness of internal controls, encourage ownership and accountability, support and complement the audit function, not replace it. Why the other options are incorrect? Elimination, that is replacement of the audit responsibility. CSA does not aim to eliminate or replace the role of auditors. Integrity of the audit responsibility. While CSA can support this, the main goal is to enhance audit efforts by providing additional insights and improving risk management at the operational level. Question number 50. IS auditors are most likely to perform compliance test of internal controls if after their initial evaluation of the controls, they conclude that controls risks are within acceptable limits. True or false? The options are option A true, option B false, and the correct option is option A false. Option A true. So IS auditors perform compliance test of internal controls to determine whether controls are operating effectively as designed. However, they typically do this only if their initial evaluation suggests that the control risk is low or within acceptable limits and there is reasonable expectation that the controls are properly designed and functioning. If controls are deemed weak or high risk initial assessment, auditors may skip compliance testing and instead use substantive testing to directly verify data integrity or detect errors and fraud. Question number 51. As compared to understanding an organization's IT process from evidence directly collected, how valuable are prior audit reports as evidence? And the options are option A, the same value, option B, greater value, option C, lesser value, and option D, prior order reports are not relevant. The correct option is option C, lesser value. So prior audit reports can provide useful context and historical insight, but they are considered less reliable than evidence directly connected during the current audit. This is because they reflect past conditions which may no longer be accurate. They might not consider current risks, control, or IT environment changes. Direct evidence gathered firsthand is more current and trustworthy. Therefore, while prior audit reports are helpful for planning and understanding trends, they carry lesser evidential value than direct up to date evidence. Question number 52. What is the primary purpose of audit trails? The options are option A to document auditing efforts, option B to correct data integrity errors, option C to establish accountability and responsibility for process transactions, and option D to prevent unauthorized access to data. And the correct option is option C to establish accountability and responsibility for process transactions. So the primary purpose of audit trails is to track who did what and when in a system or process, provide accountability by linking actions to specific users, help in detecting unauthorized or suspicious activity, and support forensic investigations, compliance, and operational reviews. While audit trails can aid in documenting efforts, identifying errors, or deterring unauthorized access, their main goal is to ensure accountability and traceability of transactions. Question number 53. How does the process of systems auditing benefit from using a risk based approach to audit planning? And the options are option A, controls testing starts earlier. Option B, auditing resources are allocated to the areas of highest concern. Option C, auditing risk is reduced. And option D, controls testing is more thorough. And the correct option is option B, auditing resources are allocated to the areas of highest concern. So, a risk-based approach to audit planning focuses on identifying and evaluating areas with the greatest risk to the organization. This ensures that audit resources, that is time, staff, tools are prioritized toward high risk areas. Efforts are efficient and effective, avoiding waste on low risk processes. It supports better audit outcomes by addressing the most impactful risks first. While it may lead to earlier or more thorough testing, the primary benefit is the strategic allocation of audit resources to where they are needed most. Question number 54. After an IS auditor has identified threats and potential impacts, auditor should option A identify and evaluate the existing controls, option B conduct a business impact analysis, option C report on existing controls, and option D propose new controls. And the correct option is option A identify and evaluate the existing controls. So once an IS auditor has identified threats and their potential impacts, the next logical step is to assess whether existing controls adequately mitigate those threats, determine if the residual risk is within acceptable limits, identify gaps or weaknesses in current controls. So, conducting a business impact analysis usually happens earlier during risk assessment, and reporting or proposing new controls comes after evaluating what's already in place. Question number 55. The use of statistical sampling procedures helps minimize option A detection risk, option B business risk, option C controls risk, and option D compliance risk. And the correct option is option A detection risk. So, statistical sampling allows auditors to make inferences about an entire population based on a subset of data. This helps to minimize detection risk, which is the risk that the auditor fails to detect material errors or irregularities in the sample. Ensure that the sample is representative and objective, and support audit conclusions with quantifiable confidence levels. It does not directly reduce business risk, control risk, or compliance risk. Those are influenced by the organization's operations and control environment, not by sampling technique. Question number 56. What type of risk result when an IS auditor uses an inadequate test procedure and concludes that material errors do not exist when errors actually exist? And the options are option A business risk, option B detection risk, option C residual risk, and option D inherent risk. And the correct option is option B detection risk. So, statistical sampling allows auditors to make inferences about an entire population based on subset of data. This helps to minimize detection risk, which is the risk that the auditor fails to detect material errors or irregularities in the sample. Ensure that the sample is representative and objective, and support audit conclusion with quantifiable confidence levels. It does not directly reduce business risk, control risk, or compliance risk. Those are influenced by organization's operations and control environment, not by sampling technique. Question number 57. A primary benefit derived from an organization employing control self-assessment, that is CSA technique, is that it can option A identify high risk areas that might need a detailed review later, option B reduce audit costs, Option C, reduce audit time. And option D, increase audit accuracy. And the correct option is option A, identify high risk areas that might need a detailed review later. So, control self assessment, that is CSA, is a process where business units and process owners evaluate their own controls and risks. Its primary benefit is that it helps identify high risk areas early, allowing auditors to focus efforts more effectively, encourages ownerships of controls by management, supports risk based audit planning by highlighting potential issues before formal audits. So, while CSA can indirectly help reduce audit time or cost, those are secondary benefits. The main value lies in its ability to highlight areas that warrant further detailed audit attention. Question number 58. What type of approach to the development of organizational policies is often driven by risk assessment? Option A, bottom up. Option B, top down. Option C, comprehensive. And option D, integrated. And the correct option is option B, top down. So, a top down approach to policy development is typically driven by risk assessment because senior management and leadership set strategies direction based on organizational risks. Policies are designed to address high level risk and regulatory requirements. It ensures alignment with business objectives and risk appetite. In contrast, a bottom up approach may miss the broader risk context, while comprehensive and integrated describe the scope or style of policy development, not the structure or direction of the approach. Question number 59. Who is accountable for maintaining appropriate security measures or information assets? Option A, data and system owners. Option B, data and system users. Option C, data and system custodians. And option D, data and system auditors. And the correct option is option A, data and system owners. So, data and system owners are accountable for ensuring that appropriate security measures are in place to protect information assets. Their responsibilities typically include classifying information based on sensitivity, defining access controls and security requirements, ensuring that custodians implement controls appropriately. Other roles, that is, custodians are responsible for implementing and managing controls. Users must follow security policies, and auditors assess and verify whether security measures are adequate. They are not accountable for maintaining them. Question number 60. Proper segregation of duties prohibits a system analyst from performing quality assurance functions. True or false? And options are option A, true, option B, false. And the correct option is option A, true. So, proper segregation of duty, that is SOD, is a key internal control that helps prevent fraud and errors by ensuring that no single individual has control over all the aspects of a critical process. In this case, a system analyst is typically involved in designing and developing systems. Quality assurance, that is QA, involves testing and validating that systems work as intended. Allowing the same person to perform both roles would compromise objectivity and increase the risk of overlooking flaws or introducing bias. Therefore, segregation of duties prohibits a system analyst from performing QA functions to maintain independence and integrity in the testing process.